hi, and welcome to another class with me. My name is Vinu Venkatesh, and today we're going to discuss some practice questions for time and tense. Last time we talked about the rules for time and tense. We also discussed the concepts and the definitions. So now it's time to do some practice questions. So shall we start? Let's look at some practice questions. Okay, the first one. For the past 3 years, India was the epicenter of natural calamities. Epicenter means the center, all right? So what is wrong with this sentence? Remember, we discussed the rules where we said that when we use since and for, we have to use the perfect tense. So here it has to be the present perfect tense, right? So instead of saying India was the epicenter, it should be India has been the epicenter. All right. Next, if RBI would have brought reforms in time, decline in the GDP could have been averted. Now we discussed a rule where we said that cases where there is a condition in the sentence, if the main sentence, what is the main sentence here? The decline in the GDP could have been averted. If the main sentence is in simple future tense, then the condition should be in simple present tense. That is, if the sentence here was the decline in the GDP will be averted, that is simple future, then the main sentence should be in the simple present. That is, it should be, if RBI brings reforms in India, the decline in the GDP will be averted. But if the main sentence is in the future perfect tense, which is what it is now, then the condition should be in the past perfect tense. So that means here it should be, if RBI had brought reforms in time, the decline in the GDP could have been averted. Got it? You just have to understand. In our last lecture, we only talked about the simple future tense of the main sentence and the condition being in the simple present tense. We did not talk about the second part. So the second part is what we see here right now. And I had mentioned that time that we will discuss this later. So keep a note of this. All right. Next, a study finds that many individuals are dying each year due to heart diseases. Read the sentence very carefully. They are saying that many individuals are dying each year. So what kind of an action is this? Repetitive action. So for repetitive action, what kind of verb or tense should we use? Simple present, right? So we have to say a study finds that many individuals die each year due to heart diseases. Next, the court summoned the criminal and ordered him to compensate the victim for the mental trauma that the latter had suffered. Now here, remember the rule where there are two past actions in one sentence. So for the action that occurred first, that is in the far past, we have to use past perfect. But the action that occurred just recently, that is in the near past, we have to use simple past, right? So what should be in the simple past here? Summoned and ordered, correct? Because this happened recently. What happened first? First, what had happened was that the victim had suffered mental trauma because of the criminal. So that happened first. So that has to be in the past perfect tense. So it has to be had suffered. So this sentence is right. But you have to understand why it is had suffered and not just suffered. Okay. Now, let's go to a similar example. Yeah. The old lady returned when she remembered that she forgot to take her passport. Again, what happened first? She forgot to take the passport. What happened later? She remembered and then she returned. So what should we say? The old lady returned when she remembered that she had forgotten to take her passport. It's the same rule as rule number 4. Okay. Now next one. What does an individual is as important as what he does as a citizen. Now, whenever we use what in a question, that is an interrogative statement, the sentence of the structure of the sentence should be what plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb. Okay, so for example, what is the individual doing? Okay, but when what is used in a sentence without a question mark, that is there's only a full stop at the end, then the structure becomes different. It becomes what plus subject plus auxiliary verb plus main verb. So what should we say here? The correct answer would be, in this case, since there's no question mark, it should be what an individual does is as important as what he does as a citizen. Okay, that's a rule. You just have to learn it. You just have to memorize. There's no other way around it. Next, the ministry has considered reforms during the budget last year. Now, what is last year here? It is an adverb of time because it is telling us when the action took place. So with adverb of time, as we learned, we have to use a simple past. So what should we write here? This is what? Present perfect, right? We have to use simple past. The ministry considered reforms during the budget last year. Very simple, right? Now, next. Contrary to previous predictions, the share price of Wipro Limited increased recently. Now, as we learned last time, whenever we use words such as recently, so far, never, we always have to use a present perfect tense. Meaning we have to add has increased recently as the... So it should be, contrary to previous predictions, the share price of Wipro Limited has increased recently. Okay, that is present perfect tense. So that brings us to the end of this lecture. We will come back again with another topic next class. So until then, wish you all the best, and as usual, take care.